Okay, now we're going to do a tarpon fly. So the hook is obviously a lot stronger. This is a 2/0 hook, Gamakatsu, extra strong. And it's not that long of a hook. It's got kind of a short shank. We're going to kind of model this after a crab, almost. So we're going to start off with black thread. This is going to be mainly an all black fly. So I'm going to tie in my black thread to the back. I'm going to cut that off. And I'm going to use a little bit of an estaz, black estaz right here. And that's going to get tied in just to create a little bit of a bump. So when I tie in some feathers, that they'll be able to splay to the left and to the right, kind of like a crab leg. So we're going to go ahead and I'll move this on up. We'll just create a little bump. I'll do 1, 2, and that's good. So we're going to go back. Doesn't have to be neat. Just has to get the job done to create a little bit of a bump. 2, 3. So that it can help me splay my feathers when I tie them in for my for the crab legs. So the black creates kind of a nice profile, and I've found through working with guides that black seems to do well. So first thing I'm going to do, we're going to use some saddle hackle here. It's mainly black. I use 3 on each side. Okay, and this is going to be about the length of the hook. I'm going to take the 3 saddle hackles here, going to cut off, and then we're going to strip a little bit of the feathers off so that we have just the stems there. Going to bunch those together like that. Okay, then I'm going to tie them in on the side towards you guys like that, lightly at first, and then you can tie it in a little bit stronger. Okay, so that's going to be one side. See how it kind of splays over to the side. And then this other one, I've already prepared these feathers to make things go quicker. Okay, there are my feathers. We're going to tie them in on this side. Okay, and hopefully that will splay on out as well. So you can see it kind of splays out to the sides rather than the center. Okay, so that's good. Okay, we're out like that. Okay, then next we're going to tie in a little bit of flash, a little bit of black flash here. Okay, it's a little bit subtle. It's not too bright. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do a half hitch. Get my bobbin cradle over again. Roll up my thread, and as we've done with some of the other craft furs, we want all of this to go to the back. All of this to go to the back, if we can help it. 1, and we don't need much, so I'm going to do 3 turns. 2 and 3. Okay, good. Just enough to go to the back. Good. And we're going to tie this in. 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we're going to cut this off right here. We're going to pull all these fibers kind of back. Good. So that does that. Then we're going to use a black brush. Okay, black EP fiber brush. This is a 3-inch. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and tie that in right here. And after I tie this in, I tie in my eyes. I usually like to tie my eyes in afterwards. So we're going to solid that down. I'm going to come on up here, create my bump, and create another bump. And go back, and we're going to tie in some bead chain eyes. These are kind of medium-sized bead chain eyes here. So I'm going to put the eye in and wrap over it. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And just like before, we're going to use a little bit of super glue on a brush. Tie that in. Okay, and then we're going to tie on top of the super glue to lock everything in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then underneath 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and underneath 2, 3, and then I might go one more time. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then forward, and then we're going to lock it back kind of like right at the hook point. So I'm going to take a few wraps with the EP fiber, bring my bobbin cradle over, take a few wraps with the EP fiber, not too much, probably about four wraps. So 1, 2, and notice how I'm stroking everything back. 3, in terms of the EP fibers. 4, to make sure everything goes to the back. Okay, good. Alright, just enough. And I'm going to separate that out right there and there. Good, and that's going to be my tie-in point right here. 1, 2, 3. Alright, good. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim off that wire like such. And make sure we get that wire down. Remember, that wire can stick out. We don't want it cutting anything, much less thread or monofilament when you have a tarpon on. Okay, so we've done that. Next thing we're going to do, take our handy dandy knit brush again. I'm going to use that to comb through all the fibers that we just did. Okay, so these nice long fibers, even when you're not moving the fly, move in the water. So it creates the idea of movement when you're not moving. And one of the things I've learned over time for tarpon is, a little bit of spit again, is that movement is what makes a tarpon really strike. If your fly's not moving, that's when you're going to get the refusal. So sometimes they even use like a two-handed retrieve for the tarpon to make sure the fly's moving. So this is another EP fiber with some rubber purple legs. So we're going to go ahead and trim off that wire since this is a new one. Trim off that wire right here. Good. And then I'm going to nail that wire down with a thread. Good. I'm going to come up to the front, do my half hitch. Good. And we're going to pull this over. Bobbin cradle. Come over here. And again, we're going to try and sweep all these fibers back as best as we can. Sometimes a little spit helps there too. So each turn we're going to try and be meticulous about pulling fibers back. 1, 2, and we're going to do this to right behind the eyes. Okay, 3, and it looks like about 4. Okay, and again we're going to separate out things like so, and we'll take this and we'll bring this to the back. I'll move that, and we're going to lock down this wire. Good. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, we're going to cut the wire. Okay. We're going to push that wire down as best as we can, and then we're going to come over the top of it to try and coat it so it's not showing for any of our anything to break off on. Good. We're going to come up to the hook eye. I'm going to go ahead and do my half hitch, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, and again 1, 2, 3. And we're going to tighten that down. Good. Use our scissors. Cut that. Going to use our UV finish, which is thin. Okay, gonna put that on. It's gonna help lock down the head a little bit and lock down all the fibers. Okay, good. So we'll use our UV curing light. Okay, give that a few seconds. Okay, good. And then we'll go ahead and do some of the top coat again. And that will kind of come over the fly, keep it from being too sticky, because the UV agents, after you cure them, except for this top coat, tend to be a little sticky. So fibers tend to stick, everything tends to stick to them. So I use that. There are brands that you can buy that don't stick nowadays as well. We're going to UV cure that. And we'll get that last fiber there after I've cured everything. Okay. It seems like it's doing its job there. Good. We'll trim that one fiber that's there. Because it's annoying me. It's not necessarily annoying the fish. Now this is one time when I don't use the knit brush to pick out my fibers. I actually just use a bodkin tool. The reason is because the legs tend to pull and get stuck in that brush too much, and you don't want that to happen, and it pulls out most of your legs, and you know, you want the legs to give an effect that there's a crab or something there. But the final thing that I did was I trimmed the fibers to kind of give it that tapered shape like that. Trimming the legs and the fibers a little bit on top more than on the bottom, so it hopefully rides hook up, and you can see that we've got this nice tapered shape that we want to it. So like that, like that. And I usually like to leave the legs on the bottom to create that effect. So there you go. There's the tarpon fly. It just kind of looks like a crab. Very effective.